guys, it's Jess, and I'm here today to do a book review on Jane by April Lindner. And I picked up this book because Courtney at Books with Court listed this as one of her top 5 favorite books. She did a video about her top 5 favorite books a couple of months ago, and she mentioned this book as one of them. And I love the original story, Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. And retellings really intrigue me because if done right, they can really take the story and whip it up into something fresh and new. And so, yeah, I wanted to check it out. I wanted to see what April Lindner would do with the story. So I read this book back in June and I had to give it back to the library, but I wanted to still show you the cover of the book because I think it's really breathtaking. I love the colors, I love the textures. Um, it's interesting because it looks like it could be the cover of Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and yet there's just enough of a modern touch to it that lets you know that it's a retelling. And of course, that's mainly done with the bright pink lettering of the title and the sort of futuristic font. I just think that's really clever. And I love the sort of windy, wild feel to this. It looks like Jane could be on a moor in England, or she could be in a park on the East Coast. And I love that it has that sort of dichotomy. I love this cover. So, the basic plot of Jane is we have Jane Moore, and she's a 19-year-old college student, and tragedy strikes in her family, and she has to drop out of school and find a job to support herself. And she ends up signing up with a nanny agency and is hired by Nico Rathburn, who's an incredibly famous rock musician, and he has a 5-year-old daughter named Maddie. And so Jane comes to work with them, and at first it's sort of an awkward situation. She's always been a pretty practical girl. She loves to paint. She doesn't know anything about the rock and roll lifestyle, and she's pretty intimidated by her boss. Plus, Maddie takes some time to warm up to her, but slowly and surely, Jane, starts to learn about them, and gets to spend time with them, and you know things start to progress. She and Maddie get really close, and she and Nico get really close, and they actually fall in love, and everything is going pretty well until some secrets are revealed from Nico's past, and Jane has a decision about whether or not she can stay with him, knowing what she now knows. So that's basically what it's about. I really enjoyed this book. When doing a modern retelling of a popular classic, it can be really difficult to pay respects to the original story and yet still make it your own. And I thought April Lindner really pulled it off. The story really works in a modern setting, and I wasn't sure that it would, but it does. And the characters were still very much the characters that we love, and yet they were also sort of a different version of themselves, if that makes sense. I mean, they were still recognizable, and yet they were different as well. And it's a fine line, and I thought that April Lindner walked that line really well because it's tricky. It's tricky. It's tricky to work on something that is so well known and so beloved, and yet make changes where there need to be changes and not change the essence of the story. So yeah, I was completely engaged the whole time. I really enjoyed all of the characters. They were all, really richly developed. I really enjoyed Jane. I thought that she was someone that I could really relate to. I mean, in the original, she's someone I could also relate to, but me being a modern girl, I found this modern version of Jane even easier to relate to. And just like in the original book, she's very strong, very cautious, very practical. She has a very strong sense of values, which she doesn't compromise on. So I was really glad that April Lindner kept the essence of Jane. I thought that Nico was a great version of Mr. Rochester. He was definitely his own character, and yet the similarities were definitely there. He was still a really romantic character with sort of a wall up. Still sort of strong and silent, and yet charismatic at the same time. I enjoyed Jane and Nico's relationship. I thought it could have been developed a little more. That's sort of a pitfall of some YA romances, is that there tends to be a little bit of a rush, just a tad, in this book to form this instant connection. But I mean, it's not bad. It certainly doesn't pull you out of the story. And once they're together, I mean, I totally buy it. And it's very romantic and very sweet, and you understand why they're together. I wish there had been just a tad more development before they ultimately get together. But they're a really sweet couple, and you definitely buy into the romance throughout the book. And yeah, I really liked the book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I think the main reason, which isn't really fair, but I think the main reason I gave it 4 instead of 5 stars is because it's just not Jane Eyre. But it's an incredibly good version of the story, so I would definitely recommend picking it up. It's really great, and I hope you enjoy it too. So yeah, that's my review of Jane by April Lindner, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.